That's how my ADD brain works. But speaking of, you have, I had two different things there that were going through my mind at the same time. So we have all this cost and waste right now, but at the same time, we have the government shutdown as we're sitting here today. Mm-hmm. Whereas, how does that affect our service members? Because I know they're not getting paid during this time frame. What's their mindset? What's their mentality? Is there...
Just go do their job. My son is a perfect example. He's over in Germany right now. He's an intel officer, and he's not getting paid, but he goes to work every day and does his job. And, you hope, my hope as a father that worries about, that type of stuff, you hope with the current administration, because they are so pro-military, maybe something will something will happen that if the government does stay shut down for a period of time, maybe, hopefully, I don't know if it's even legal, but something could be passed to pay our military so they can pay
That's
their
the
bills.
only ones I want to pay.
Exactly.
I don't give a shit about any other government employee. And someone may say that's crass, but I don't think that most of them are necessary. But our military is.
Yeah, and I hope they whittle down the government. Another example, when I was at the Pentagon, the waste. Some general would come up with an idea, and then a division would have to be stood up, and a division was probably made up of, anywhere from 4 to 10 people. And think about that. I was out at the Pentagon as a colonel making a lot of money, and the benefits they have to pay, the healthcare they have to pay, the per diem and the housing allowance, because DC is so expensive. So if you're a general and you come up with this idea and all of a sudden, okay, now it's given the okay to bring in 5, 6, 10 guys, just think of the money that's costing. And a lot of these issues that were brought up, you don't need that many people working them. You could give Josh or Mike another task to do. You don't need to bring in 10 new people. That's going to cost $1 million to $2 million a year, of more taxpayer money. So,
well, you probably know this, but the majority of the listeners may not. Who's the only people in the government being paid right now during a government shutdown?
Congress people.
Yeah. So your politicians are exempt from the government shutdown, and they continue to get paid to not do their job.
They make all the rules.
Yep. So that should piss everyone off too.
Yeah.
They should be the first ones not getting paid because they're the ones causing the fucking shutdown.
And when our country was first stood up, from my understanding, the people representing us got paid a per diem. They weren't paid a wage.
They weren't paid a salary.
Exactly.
No, that needs to go away.
Exactly.
Actually, in fact, my belief is the only people that should be serving us are people that don't need the money.
Yep.
Because this is the problem we've got into.
Yeah.
This is where we see Pelosi's stock portfolio go up infinite number.
And if you do that or I do it, we're in prison.
Or even local, Mark Pocan, he was not a wealthy man going into Congress, but now he's very wealthy.
Yeah.
How's that happen?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where like the people, so when someone brings up the argument that Trump's not qualified because he didn't have political experience, I was like, what makes someone with political experience qualified? Like, what about being in politics, or in Obama's case, a community organizer, then state senator? What about that makes them qualified? Mm-hmm. Because if you ever go to DC, and not you, because I know you've been there and lived there, but for me, I went for 6 years actually as a government relations delegate for my company. And you learn that 25, 26-year-olds are technically running the country. Mm-hmm. All the staffers of these Congress people are the ones actually reading the bills, are the ones actually helping them make a decision regarding a vote or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. And you get to understand it a little bit. It's impossible to know everything about everything that they're voting on. So I understand that. The problem is when those 25, 26-year-olds are making decisions for the Congress people, that's a problem.
Yeah. There's so many things that need to be, rectified, term limits. Bills should be one thing. You're voting on one, maybe 2 things or whatever, 5 things, not hundreds of things. And then they throw all this pork in there to that nobody reads. Term limits would be huge, like I said, and just the morals, getting back to serving the country instead of serving yourself.
Serving the people that actually put you there.
Exactly.
That's it. So you served under Reagan, 87, right? Is when you started. So you joined the military. So Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama,
Trump,
and Trump.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll tell you a story about that. I was at the Pentagon when Trump won his first term, and the female colonel in the next office next to me was working on transgender policy at that time. And our numbers in the military had been dropping. Literally, the day after Trump won the election, all that work on transgender and what needs to be done so we can have transgenders in the military and so on and so forth was done. And we focused strictly on recruiting, getting the numbers up, and the stuff that we needed to be as warriors working on, and all this other BS was out the window. Literally the next day, but depending who's in office, drives the train.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So 6 different presidents, some of them you probably voted for, some of them you didn't. Mm-hmm. What's it like to lead under each different style, each different commander in chief?
Well, I think you can see it right now with the numbers for recruiting have skyrocketed because of the administration that we have in there. I've worked under leadership that you really wonder if they have your back. You wonder if the rules of engagement, if they would have your back during war, if you apply rules of engagement that you think are correct. I think with somebody, the people that are in charge right now with the Secretary of War and the president that we have, I feel, even being retired, and I believe that's why our numbers are so high.
But your son's not retired.
He's not retired.
So now you're acting as a father.
Right. But I think these people that are now serving feel they have a mission, they have transparency, they have direction, they have somebody that has their back, and their well-being is taken very seriously, and that they're being taken care of, besides the pay right now, but hopefully that gets fixed. But, you think back to even 4 years ago, a lot of people had their concerns about our current Secretary of War, Secretary of Defense, that's currently in charge, Pete Hegseth. I was thrilled when he was selected to be the secretary. He's got military experience. He retired as a major. Yeah, no big deal. He didn't have that general under his belt, but I think that's okay. And what he brings as far as physical fitness, getting back to the basics. I don't know if you listened to his speech.
I'm going to ask about that in just a minute.
I emailed a friend and I said, I wish I could join the military again. I was that excited about what he was saying.
Yeah, because that's the thing is you go and look at what China does or what Russia does. Like, those are some beastly humans. They're training them for battle, not training them for a drag show.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing is, you even go back to that movie G.I. Jane.
Yeah.
Right. You remember seeing that?
Yeah.
Like, I watched that as a kid, like understood and probably wouldn't even fly today. I don't even know if that movie would fly today, but like, yeah, she got harassed, but at the same time, they were making sure if she was going to qualify. And I realize it's a movie, Hollywood has its own thing, but at the same point is like, there's a physical standard. Like, if you got to carry your brother or sister off the field of battle, you got to be physically able to do that.
Yep.
You got to have endurance to fight for hours upon hours. Yep. Think about Marcus Luttrell and how he was able to pull his body on, like, army crawl on the ground because it was so shot up that I heard him speak pretty early after that happened. He was still a mess mentally at that point. Mm-hmm. And he talked about, like, he just focused on the next crawl, the next spot in front of him. That was the only thing that got him to the villagers that ended up saving his life. Yeah. Like, that's a physical endurance battle, mental battle to fight through. And if you can't do it, you're not going to be able to protect the person next to you, let alone the country. Yeah.
I want somebody next to me in the foxhole exactly what you said, Josh, that if something happens to me, they can pull me out and get me to safety. And again, I don't care what color they are. I don't care what religion they are. I am so against DEI. I want the person next to me that is there because he or she, merit-based, has what it takes, not only to save my ass, but to save theirs too. I want the best, whether I'm flying.
Well, it's meritocracy.
This is Sparta!